Hey guys, welcome to one of the last videos I'm going to film in this house. I can't believe it. I am still planning to do a house tour of the apartment, an apartment tour, to show you where we're at right now, where we've lived for the past 4 years. And after that, it's moving content. I'm gonna do an empty house tour, moving vlogs, makeover videos, things like that. I have planned. I'm really excited to get started on that. But as we are slowly descending into chaos, I thought today I would just sit down and do a tea time video and chat a little bit. I posted a question sticker on Instagram as always, and most of the questions that came in were about the house, so I think I'm gonna leave it more or less house themed, this tea time video. So yeah, let's talk about our new home. The house that we bought. Whenever I say it, it just doesn't sound real. I had myself so convinced that it wasn't gonna happen that I just can't believe it right now. Maybe before we get started, a little bit of context would be in order. So my husband and I, we bought our first home recently. It's all happening very fast. We looked at the house just after Easter and we are moving in, or well, we get the keys to it next week. So it's all happening so quickly. We currently live in Amsterdam and we are moving to just outside my hometown, and we are moving into your most typical normal Dutch family home with a little front yard, little backyard, and we are so excited and I cannot wait to show you guys and get right into the renovations and decorations and everything. Let's get into the questions. Are you going to start house renos right away or wait a little bit? So both, I guess. Since it's all happening so fast, there won't be much time for us to do any major renovations before we move in. It is also very hard to find contractors right now. Contractors are super busy, overbooked, and you usually have to book them months in advance, sometimes even up to a year. So we probably won't be able to do any major renovations before we move in, but we would like to tackle some little things before we move in, such as changing some of the floors, obviously painting the walls, doing some wallpaper, things like that. And if possible, we would also like to tackle things like insulating and things like that before we move in. But we probably won't be able to do that much before the actual move because we're only taking 1 month to do all of this and then move in, just because we are currently renting and the rent is pretty steep. We live in Amsterdam, rents are insane, so we would like to get rid of that as fast as possible. We are planning on doing some renovations, but it might take a while before we actually get around to doing all of them. We don't really know how to renovate ourselves, so we will have to hire people to do it for us for the most part in any case. So yeah, might take a while. What made you fall in love with your chosen house? When we first started thinking about moving, we had this obviously ideal picture in our minds, or well, I feel like there's always two types of dream home. There is the ultimate, no boundaries, no money limits, ultimate dream house, right? And then there's your realistic dream house, the one that you feel like would be the best that you're able to achieve realistically. So obviously, aside from the cottage in the woods with the land and the vegetable patch and everything, our dream home is like I mentioned, standard Dutch family home like we grew up in, a rijtjeshuis as we call them in the Netherlands, in a child-friendly neighborhood, close to our friends and family, with preferably at least 3 bedrooms, a garden. Yeah, just in a quiet, safe neighborhood. That was kind of our dream, preferably not next to a busy road like we are right now. You can hear cars driving by all the time. This house has all of that. The only thing about this house is that it is right outside my hometown, which is our preferred location where we wanted to move. But when we started looking, we gave our realtor a list of places we wanted to live, but basically we told them we wanted to live in my hometown. Then we waited for houses to come onto the market, but within our budget, all that popped up were 2-bedroom apartments, which is just really not what we're looking for right now. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment and we are just done with apartment living, especially after the lockdowns of the past 2 years. Just having people all around and apartments selling and then being renovated all the time. If at all possible, we would really like to not live in an apartment anymore. So seeing that all that was available were apartments made me decide to start looking just outside my hometown. We hope that the houses will be slightly less expensive there because family homes were just over budget in my hometown. even the very, very rundown ones that need lots of renovating. Even those were over budget. Yeah, I went onto the property website that we have in the Netherlands, and I saw this house, which happened to be in a neighborhood I was kind of vaguely aware of its existence, but I had never been there. So I asked Robert if he was up to just go and take a look, see how we like the neighborhood, and see how we would feel about actually visiting a house and looking at an actual full-on several story house. So we went, our realtor came along, and all three of us, honestly, him included, the realtor, just fell in love straight away, because this home, the current owners are the first owners of the house, and they put so much love and care into the house. You can really tell that they spent a lot of time and effort renovating, improving the house as they lived there, and there is just a lot of care. It's very well kept, even though it is very outdated. They are an elderly couple now, so obviously the style isn't completely our style, but everything is functional, it's clean, it is well kept. So basically we can move into the house straight away and we wouldn't have to change anything. Everything is all right, it's just not our taste. Also, the location is wonderful. The neighborhood, but also the location of the house inside the neighborhood is just perfect. It's close to all the amenities that we would need, stores, schools, playgrounds, things like that. It is very close to my family. My best friend lives just 7 minutes, I think, by bike. It's within cycling distance of everything, everywhere where we'd like to cycle. It has the front yard and the backyard. It even has an attic that is converted into a room that I could use as a sewing space. Yeah, it has everything, honestly. It has everything. We love everything about the house. I still can't believe that it's actually ours. It's just insane. What made us fall in love with it is the fact that it was everything we wanted, and actually even more, and so much more than we thought we would be able to achieve. Honestly, this is not a first home. This is like an end base type of house. So we are just so incredibly lucky and so happy. Will you vlog the process of your new place? So yes, I already talked about that, but yes, I definitely plan to vlog. I think it will be stressful. I hope I will be able to vlog well. But I definitely want to do it. I'm really excited about sharing this type of stuff. Moving vlogs and renovating vlogs and things like that are my favorite type of content, so I honestly can't wait to do it myself. Is this your forever home? Likely. It could be in any case. Based on the house itself, I don't see any reason why we would ever have to move. Maybe if we ever have the chance to upgrade a lot, we might do that. This house has everything we would need for the rest of our lives, so yeah, the only reason I can imagine why we would move is either that or maybe new neighbors moving in and them being absolute horror neighbors. But other than that, nope. I think this could very well be our forever home, and we are treating it as such. What are you most excited about with your new house, and does anything feel daunting? So I am just excited to leave here, honestly. Live somewhere that is quiet and where we have space to live and to both do what we need to do, because we live in this, like I mentioned, 1-bedroom apartment now, and we both work from home, and I am obviously a content creator. I film, which is a little bit of a problem because my husband is also in the same house, very often in the same room, so he needs to be quiet, and when he has meetings I can't film. We are constantly in each other's way, and it's just very hard to work efficiently. Both of us are easily distracted as well, so it's just not an ideal situation. I'm just so excited to get to create an actually functional work routine and work-life balance, and to be able to actually close off the work parts of our home and move on to the living parts at the evening, and to not have to work in my bedroom anymore, and just having more space and the quiet, moving away from the construction site that we live on right now. That's what I'm most excited about. And what feels daunting is honestly everything that comes with being new homeowners. The whole mortgage process is terrifying. Just all of the kind of legal paperwork stuff is pretty daunting. I find it very difficult to understand. There's a lot of it. All of the insurance stuff, things like that are fairly daunting, as well as the renovations, because we have no experience with that. We don't know how it works. But I'm sure, if we find the right people who are able to help us with that'll all be fine. Pretty much everything that isn't just decorating pretty daunting to me, but also very exciting. Will you be growing your own vegetables in your garden? I'm not sure. The garden isn't that big. I feel like the way I'm talking about the house, some people might get a completely wrong impression about it, but houses in the Netherlands, even big houses here, are small, and your typical Dutch family home is honestly not that big. We are a very densely populated country, so what seems like a big house with a fairly large garden to me might not seem that to you. There honestly isn't that much space, and if we want to use the garden for several purposes, which we do, I don't think there will be place for an actual vegetable patch, but I would like to. I definitely 100% want to grow herbs, and I might like a fruit tree or something, just something simple, low maintenance. I'm not quite sure about the vegetables yet. Maybe not, definitely not this year, but I might do that at one point because I think it would be really fun to grow our own vegetables. But we'll just have to see whether there's any room for that. What are your renovation plans for the new house, and will you film them? I will take you through all of the more specific renovation ideas and plans as we go through the empty house tour. But in general, we would like to renovate the kitchen, the bathroom, and to create French doors from the living room into the backyard. So that is probably what we're going to try and do first. Those are the biggest jobs. And of course we're getting new floors, but also some of the ceilings are made of cardboard and we need to change those to something that is more fireproof. So boring stuff like that is also high on the priority list. First things basically we want to do is make the house safer and more eco-friendly, and after that we're going to move on to aesthetic things like, changing the bathroom and the kitchen and things like that. But yeah, we're also changing the front door and the locks and everything. That is first on the list. Other than your studio for filming, what parts of the house are you most excited to decorate? I am most excited to decorate the sewing space, honestly, but obviously the whole thing. I mean, I'm very excited to do the living room. We have some very fun plans for the hallway actually that I'm really excited about doing as well. Garden, of course, just because I've never had one and I have dreamed of a garden forever. I'm really excited to do that, although we're not going to do that just yet. Top of the list is the sewing room. I have really fun plans for the sewing room, because whereas the rest of the house I want it to be kind of a little bit more timeless, a little bit more normal. And of course we're gonna make it our style, but in the studio, the filming sewing room, I'm gonna go all out. It is in the attic, as I mentioned, right on top of the house. No one's ever gonna go there, so I can do whatever I want with it, and I am so excited. I'm planning to go full like cottagecore, old-timey sewing space. It's gonna be so cool. I have lots of plans and I just cannot wait to decorate that and just go crazy with it. So yes, I'm sorry, it is the sewing space. That's the one I'm most excited about. What style are you planning the house to be? We just talked about the studio, which I have the vibe in my mind. I just don't know how to put it into words yet. It's gonna be kind of cottagey, maybe a little bit light academia, really feminine, frilly, florally. And fun. It's gonna be lots of fun. But for the rest of the house, especially the living room, we are bringing all of our furniture. I don't want to waste any furniture. All the things we have are still good. So the living room is going to be a pretty similar style to what we have now, just a little bit more classic. I would like to go for a style that is kind of like, I would say modern classic, although I think that might be a actual name for an actual style that isn't exactly what I'm going for. I guess if you put maybe antiques and Scandinavian furniture into a blender and then take the best version of what you can imagine that to be. I realized as I said that sounds horrible, but I have it in my mind pretty clearly, and it is good. So yeah, I want it to be light and bright, kind of modern, but also kind of classic. I don't want anything to be glossy white, sharp corners. I don't like any of that. I don't want it to be too like modern in that way, but I also don't want it to be too old-timey either. So kind of somewhere in the middle. Probably gonna go for green accents. That's the vibe I'm going for. And then I think we're gonna keep the bedrooms fairly basic. I don't really have a very clear idea of those yet. This is the thing, guys. The way the house is decorated right now is very intense, because the elderly couple that lives there now, they have some beautiful dark wooden antique furniture pieces, or actually everything that they have in the living room right now are those very large, heavy, dark antique furniture pieces. And they have obviously the typical old people curtains, you know, the lace curtains with the heavy drapes over it and everything. And it's very hard to imagine what the house will look like empty or without all of that stuff. So I can't really... Usually I have no problem with this, but with this specific house, I can't imagine the possibilities that well. So I think I'll just have to go there once, look around, and get the feeling of what the house could potentially be. So we'll probably do a lot of the decorating after we have moved in with our furniture and everything. But this is kind of the vibe that I'm going for. When do you plan on moving? So all of this is gonna go down in June, which is so soon. Yep, June is the month. Plans for the garden. The garden is one of our last priorities, so we have decided not to do that yet this year, as we want to obviously tackle the interior first, but eventually I would really like a cottage style garden with just lots of flowers, blooming bushes, trees. I would love to get a cherry tree or a magnolia maybe, wisteria, obviously herbs, lots of lavender. I would love sage and mint in pots, like those big terracotta pots full of mint. There's a little terrace covered by a glass roof, where we would like a dinner table with chairs and everything, and then we would like a more like lounging space in the garden as well, with like an outdoor sofa or something like that. So I want it to be very luscious, full of greenery, lots of plants, lots of blooming things, and just, yeah, all the plants. It's all tiled right now. We want to just rip out all the tiles and put greenery in, because plants, yes. The one item you're most looking forward to buying for the new house. I would have said the kitchen, but kitchen is not an item. Oh, yes. So since before we even knew it, we were gonna buy a house, I've had this dream of this row of low cabinets, like maybe hip height, full of our board games. I would like to have a record player and all the records underneath. All my scented candles would go in there. It's oddly specific. I don't know why it's this specific, but this is the image I have in my mind. And as we were discussing this, Robert and I, we got this idea because we would really like to not have a television in the living room. I really dislike when living rooms are kind of set around the television, where you can tell that is like the focal point of the room and the sofa is like opposite it and everything. I would really like to avoid that. So instead of that, what we really like is to get a projector. Robert came up with this idea that what if we get a set of drawers, and in the top drawer we place this projector, so that when you pull out the drawer, the projector is already set up and it can just kind of project onto the wall. And then behind the cabinet we could have this projector screen that you just pull up and hook onto, like a hook on the wall, so that you can really easily set up this home cinema by just, you know, pulling out the drawer with the projector and then the projector screen. I have no idea if this is realistic at all. It might be way too costly, but this sounds like such a cool idea, and we are so excited about it that we might just really try hard to make this happen. I feel like this will be amazing, so that when we have a movie night or something, we can just watch everything on this giant screen. I can already see myself sitting there watching Dune for the 40th time on this giant screen. Yes. Also a new vacuum cleaner. What are you going to miss most from your old place? Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna miss anything about the house, because everything in the new house is an upgrade from what we have here, or will be after renovating. But what I will miss is probably the location and everything that we have here, and being right in the center of everything that we use. The grocery store that I go to is a gigantic one that has all of the vegan options, and I'm fairly sure that our nearest grocery store in the new house won't have that. I will also probably miss being this close to the city center. Not that we go there a lot, but when we do, we can cycle right now. I'm in the center of Amsterdam. We won't be able to do that anymore. Also, maybe the fact that this is the apartment that our rats obviously lived in. I think I will miss that. There are some signs of them around the house. Don't tell the landlord. little bits of paint that they maybe chipped off, or you know, just tiny things like that that are just reminders of them. And I think I will miss that. I'm still heartbroken, like ridiculously heartbroken about them passing away, so that might be something that I get a little bit emotional about. But honestly, I don't think there is much I will miss about the actual place. Oh, many people, speaking of pets, asks, are there gonna be any pets in the new house? I honestly don't know. We don't have any plans to get pets yet. I found the passing of the rats, or the last generation of rats that we had, traumatic. And I'm still not fully recovered from that, I think. The thought of getting a new pet right now just terrifies me. Terrifies me. I'm not ready yet to get new pets, I think. Probably not anytime in the near future. In any case, not before the renovations are finished, because that would just be impractical. But maybe one day, I don't know. I really don't know yet. How long was the process of getting a new home? It seems so fast to me. I guess there are two parts to this answer. We have wanted to move out of this house for a long time. Years, I think. There were some issues, especially surrounding finances. I am a full-time content creator. This is my job. My business is my channel. So there are some issues surrounding that really impacted how much money we would be able to borrow for a mortgage. And there were a couple other things as well that just made it that we really needed to improve our financial situation before we will be able to move into a new house. And obviously that's not something that you do overnight. So we spent several years working on that, which happened in February of this year, I think. So that is when we started talking to a realtor and really got the ball rolling. So once we did that, it honestly went so fast, unexpectedly quickly. We looked at one other house before this, basically an apartment, and it was small, definitely would not have been our forever home. Yeah, we didn't get that house. This is the second house actually that we looked at. This went so quickly. I think we went to look at it the day after Easter, and then within a week we had signed the contract. Which is just insane. It happened so fast. Do you think that this is unusually fast even in the market? But it is an insane market right now. I think it's like that pretty much everywhere, but in the Netherlands as well, it's just insane. And you have to be so fast. We had only seen the house once for maybe 15 minutes before we decided to make an offer. Yeah, it all happened within like 2 months, which is insane. And very, very fast. But we were lucky that the current owners were already moving out by the time that they decided to put the house on sale. And of course, us deciding to move in before doing all the renovations also makes the whole timeline kind of more compact. But yes, it did happen very, very quickly. Any new hobbies or interests that you could see yourself pursuing in the new house? Gardening. Obviously gardening. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I think it could be something I enjoy a lot. I think it could also be something I become very disillusioned in very quickly, because I think it's a lot of work, and I'm not sure how I will handle that extra responsibility, but we'll see. For now, I'm just really excited about it and can't wait. And I think it might be something I enjoy a lot. I have been blabbing on for so long. I think I'm just gonna stop here. You guys will see everything very soon as I do the empty house tour, and then of course all the moving and renovation vlogs. So yeah, this will all become more apparent as we move in next week, which is insane. By the way, if you would like to stay updated in real time of everything that's happening, then do follow me over on Instagram. I will try to post more there as it's happening as well, so you can get a little bit of a sneak preview of everything. I'm really excited. I hope you look forward to the house content. I will obviously go back to my regular content after at least the sewing room is finished and the kind of like filming studio. Please don't worry if you're not into the whole house content, but I am really, really excited to do it. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you did enjoy, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see the whole process that's coming. There is another video here that I think you might also enjoy. You can go watch next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week in my new video. Bye!